Came across your website and figured to send you an email since nobody else aside my family is willing to listen to me. I became involved with my ex-partner in 2010 and mid-2011. We had two beautiful baby girls. We moved in together after they were born, and that's when all the problems began. The very first day she was there, she went into a fit of rage and threw 3 or 4 unopened glass beer bottles in my direction because she thought I was drinking too much while trying to mount our new TV on the bedroom wall. I guess I should have known that this was going to be a sign of things to come. About a month later, we got into an argument in which she repeatedly shoved and scratched me, ripped my shirt, and basically attempted to hold me hostage in our apartment, preventing me from going to work. This led me to call the police, and when they arrived at the scene, she made up a story of how I was out of control and attacking her, and since she had a couple of bruises on her which may have been caused when I tried to throw her off me, they arrested the both of us. The result of these arrests were cross-limited orders of protection, meaning we can live under the same roof, but just not fight, harass, etc. Fast forward a month later, and we are having another argument on my birthday weekend. This time it's because she thinks I was looking at another girl at a party. She went completely ballistic, punching me in the face, giving me a fat lip, and a bloody nose. My friends had to restrain her from further attacking me. Fast forward a couple months later, and we get into an argument again, and I try to leave as I usually do when she gets upset. She follows me in my car and prevents me from closing the door, and after some shouting back and forth, she punches me in the mouth. After she does that, I push her away from the car door and try to escape. Well, after I leave, and she knows I'm not around, she calls the cops and files another false police report without even telling me. She called me later on and said, one of the neighbors called the cops. They came by, and I told them that nothing happened. So as a result of this false police report, I was arrested and ordered to stay away from the kids and the apartment. Child Services got involved and are getting her all this help for domestic violence victims, and the family court is only going to give us supervised visits. Meanwhile, I'm sleeping on the floor in my mom's living room, and while paying the rent and all the bills for the apartment, I'm not allowed to go to. Everyone always asks me why I kept going back, and well, the main reason that she always threatened to take the baby 6 hours away from me and make it very difficult for me to see them. I also like to think that there is even the slightest bit of chance she could change. I owe it to my daughters to give it to a shot that they have both parents in their lives every day. But I just can't take it anymore. The abuse is not just physical, but it's psychological as well. Her constant suicide threats, she actually tried hanging herself in front of me once, have taken quite an emotional toll on me. Right now, she's back to her old tricks, trying to reel me back in. Although she told the cops she was afraid of me, she's constantly calling me and sending me texts with these crazy stories about how the babies are so sick and that she thinks she's pregnant or some other emergency that I have to come to see her. I've caved in a couple of times and gone even though I'm not supposed to. Order of protection from the false police report. And always nothing. She just wants to work things out. All in all, I'm just amazed that nobody's willing to listen. Not the police, not Child Services, not anybody. I have tons of incriminating texts and a telephone recording in which it's very clear that the incident she called the cops on me did not go down the way she said it did. I'm screaming that I have this evidence at the top of my lungs, and nobody's willing to listen. Why?
When I was 16, he stole from me. Stole my virginity, my dignity, my self-esteem, and I want it back. I met him on the internet, a newly turned 16. I knew that my mom would not approve of me talking to boys that were over 18 in person, but online, as I thought, was different. He said such sweet things. I met him offline 2 weeks later. He looked like a normal enough big pink lips and kind, welcoming smile. We dated for 3 months before he told me he loved me. He took my innocence. I knew that I was in love. I just knew it. It felt so right. I was happy beyond measure. And even though my parents had a bad feeling about him, they didn't know him as well as I did. I was the one that he loved. Then he hit me. He punched me with closed fists in my face, my stomach, and one day he even gave me a black eye. He told me that I was ugly, stupid, fat, and that he was the only one that was stupid enough to have any emotion towards me. So I became a bulimic cutter. After he hit me, he would kiss me on the forehead and apologize, and I would forgive him. Then he would bruise my face again. I didn't drive, so the 3-hour journey by public transit came with confused stares. The other passengers watched as I cried. Tears and blood rolled down my cheeks. I left him 8 months later. When I was 18, he stole from me. I met him through a mutual friend. While I didn't think he was very attractive, I thought I should humor him and go out on a date. We had a great time, filled with laughter and jokes all night. Towards the end, I parked my car around Montebello Lake, and we sat in the back seat to talk. He started to get closer and closer. I told him no. I told him to stop. I told him to get off of me. He held me down so strongly that I was afraid he'd break my arms. He told me to shut up as I screamed. He told me that I wanted it when I didn't. I was afraid he'd hit me, so I stopped fighting back. And after he was done, I took him home. We remained friends until we lost touch. I was 19 when he stole from me. My best friend had casual sex with this guy who was 35. She was only 18. One day her partner invited us to his place in the city for drinks. He told me that he'd bring a guy friend for me. That guy that was there when we arrived was super unattractive. He told me that he worked full-time as a stripper in a local club. We sat around the television and drank, and right before I became unconscious, my best friend and her partner left the room with this guy I barely knew. As I started to black out, I could remember his hands touching me, him smiling, and my eyes shutting. He took advantage of me repeatedly while I was intoxicated. I awoke to a painful, swollen vagina and my clothing ripped apart. My breasts were red and had bite marks all around them. When I told my best friend what had happened, she laughed heartily and said, "You shouldn't have gotten that drunk." She remained my best friend for 2 more years. I am 21, and I want it back. Every day they haunt me in some capacity, their memories clinging to my being like a lint to a black sweater. They befoul my relationships, my sexual life, and most importantly, my self-esteem. I'm pissed off because I want it back. The innocent, overly confident, happy girl that wanted to be loved is gone. And what's left is her overly sensitive, self-conscious sister. The 3 of them are out there living normal lives, free from hurt and confusion that comes from being physically, mentally, and emotionally abused. They should pay, and I have already planned my revenge. I will live a full and complete life, finding love, getting married, and sharing my love with my children. I will educate young women on the warning signs of domestic abuse. I will talk to those that can relate and help me through the angst of the 3 of them have put me through. I will be a strong woman. The little girl that's been taken away from me will be avenged by preserving the little girl inside of young women in the future generations. That is what will not only make them go away, but will bring her back to me. I will regain my sanity, my dignity, and me.